Hey everyone, I hope you're having a great week 6 as we wrap up here on a Friday and you're looking forward to a great weekend. I just wanted to check in as I always do before the end of the week. And I also want to contextualize some things that I've been working on related to entrepreneurship because I think this is helpful to, just really contextualize how what we're learning fits into place and why I'm teaching this course. So you may have checked out my background, but also know that I'm currently running a startup that's it's very much like what we talked about earlier in the course. It's very much a roller coaster ride, and there's a lot of aspects of it that can be really tricky and that can be difficult, and there are a lot of aspects of it that are really fantastic and super rewarding. Certainly, one thing that I've found is that I've been a creator and an artist my whole life. You can see that music instruments and records are behind me, and I do work at a music company. But one thing that I've found is that entrepreneurship is so incredibly creative in its own way, and creating your own business, like we've talked about, coming up with the right model for a business, and testing your idea, your creativity to see if it's really an opportunity out in the marketplace. That is something I've done a number of times, and I'm doing right now with my AI company called SoundSafe AI. So we have, and I'm going to share some resources here coming up to start to pull some of this together now that we know some of the basics and we're moving forward. Thinking about the creative process, we came up with an idea to leverage artificial intelligence. Luckily, I have a really amazing team around me, some co-founders that are really great at developing AI models. We started probing the marketplace originally as a watermarking technology that could basically add watermarks to all audio, so you could track the usage of all audio. Let's say if you were a music producer or a record label or something like that, and especially if people are using your work without permission, you could track all that and take the appropriate steps. As we did that, we found that market was difficult to enter, and also it was the music industry is a smaller market as compared to the security market, with especially as it aligns with artificial intelligence here right now. We found that to be an enormous marketplace, and so we kind of pivoted a little bit and started working on these commercial projects related to using that. So we used that audio model, and we started using those same artificial intelligence algorithms to use for AI vision. So video AI identification of threats and just monitoring. And so then we started using audio, video, and sensor data and triangulating all that to solve solutions for companies commercially. We then started thinking, well, this would be really great for the working with people like towns and maybe even the police to help them keep track if there's any sort of crime, someone breaking in a car, there's some sort of, any sort of like a mugging or something like that. So we really started to get interested in that and working with local police and towns and cities. Then we started seeing that there were some really, that first of all, working with towns and cities, there's a really, it's really a slow and political process to get those contracts. And then also there's a lot of people that are against any sort of monitoring like that, even if it really is sincerely for the good of people, that people can feel like they're being spied on, and that violates their rights and just generally gets into political territory that we did not want to get into. So we then took those models and we started working more in the commercial space to solve problems for commercial corporate entities. So let's say that there's a building that a big company runs. So right now we're talking like a 1 million square foot building. And to manage a 1 million square foot building that has a retail space, a public space, and then corporate offices, a loading dock, and other spaces, all of those have different security needs, just monitoring needs, not only to keep things safe, but also just to maintain efficiency. Everything from the temperature of all these, so the HVAC system, the heating, the cooling, but also, of course, safety, security, all of the monitoring that would be involved. So we started doing this more in the corporate world, just to make things safer and more efficient and more productive. And that's where we started to find our more rapid traction in the marketplace. So that's how we used our creativity and our problem solving and looking at these markets, and we again started probing these different markets to identify what might work and what might not work. And we did all this without spending years developing these AI models. We built very simple MVPs, which you know what those are now, minimum viable products. Started probing the marketplace, and then started pivoting a little bit to a market that made more sense for us now. And so now we're actually using this corporate technology and that model, and actually starting to use that in some government purposes. And we're finding that is also really serving us well. And also our audio watermarking, we're finding a lot of traction in using that for not only audio but video deepfake detection, and tying that into our physical monitoring suite as a suite of AI technologies that we can orchestrate for solutions. So my point being, that's the journey I'm on right now. I'm the chief strategy officer at SoundSafe AI. I'm working with the two founders who started the company. We've now hired a developer straight out of college, so it's the four of us doing this work. We're raising money right now. We're raising a seed round of funding right now, which I'll keep you posted on, and we're getting into fundraising as we move forward. But this is just the sort of thing that I wanted to contextualize and provide a little bit of a story behind how this sort of thing comes into play when you're using these concepts in the class. So I hope this is helpful. Again, just checking in and saying hello as we wrap up week 6. So please make sure to do a great job on your customer, competitors, and market entry. I think again, this really relates to what I was just talking about. There were also some competitors out there that we needed to pivot to because we didn't think we could compete with them. And so I think my little story there really aligns with what we're talking about. So I'm going to leave it at that. Have a great rest of your week. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.